Well, I've been busy lately working on this Roadrunner here. I got the motor in place. It's just mocked up right now. It's not in its permanent spot. First problem I ran into was this cylinder head here was 200 thou past the surface of the front surface of the block. So I had to trim off the motor plate. So I'm just going to make a brace from here over to the plate this way to support that part of the motor, or I guess over to the motor, make a bracket off the intake here or something just to support that motor. Because right now it's only got one bolt in here, and I actually got to fix that one too. That one's stripped. And then I want to put some braces from the block to the chassis, probably forward or backward, doesn't really matter, where the factory mount would be, to a point on the chassis, and then just run an adjustable rod down just so that the motor can't go back and forth. And then I started mocking up the blower here. I got the injector manifold port lines in, distribution block up here that I got to find a longer bolt for, and I got to run a hose from the high speed up to the distribution block. This is the high speed T-fitting that's going to have a jet in it, and that will go down to the fuel log here, and this is the high speed bypass here, and it's also going to get an idle bypass valve and a fuel pump saver valve that I'm waiting for, and they're going to go from there to here, and then it's got the main fuel line. There's going to be a filter on here yet, so it's going to be up a little higher. This is the fuel shutoff, and I got the cable there. I'm just waiting for a bracket that bolts to the front of the pump here, and then it'll come around and I'll be able to fasten the cable to that bracket so that it's secured properly. I had to move the tanks forward from where they were because of this front mount pump and mag drive. There's barely enough room there, so I'm hoping I'm going to have enough room for that cable mount bracket that sits on the front there. I might have to just dent that tank a little bit in. That's as far forward as it can go, and I got it really tight in there so it can't move, but we don't want that puncturing the tank. You know, on the launch, this thing is going to hit pretty hard, and it's going to want this is going to be pretty heavy, you know, full of fuel, so it's going to want to launch that fuel cell back into that pump, and we don't want to get punctured there. So, and I'm waiting for the magneto, which is going to mount right here, and it just mounts with a pinch clamp, and then everything is driven right off the cam gear. It's got a gear drive in it, and it's got a long shaft in here. This will, you know, it turns the gear assembly in here, which will turn the mag, and then it also turns the fuel pump, and that'll pump fuel up to the barrel valve here. And then when you open it up, she'll pump the fuel and return the fuel. And then I've got, still waiting for a mounting bracket for the cable here. This is the throttle cable, and it's got a CO2 cylinder on it. The reason for that is we don't want the thing under full throttle when he's on the trans brake. So what's going to happen is he's going to, with the trans brake on, open the throttle all the way. That'll be wide open, and you can see the butterflies are only open a very little bit, and that we can adjust so that he's just up on the converter just a little bit, and then as soon as he releases the trans brake, the CO2 cylinder here will open, and that'll open up the throttle all the way. So that'll all be tied in with the delay box, so that when he releases the trans brake button, the delay box will release the trans brake and open the throttle. So I've got that done. We still got to, I got to get some different shims for here. These are 1 inch. I got to shorten them down 1/4 inch to, you know, make, because of the mid plate here is 1/4 inch out. So that's going to throw all the alignment off. So I got to get some different shims for that. So and I'm waiting for, well, the mag and the return stuff, and I got to weld a bung on the bottom of the fuel cell here. Cut this off. Weld the fitting on there to go to the bottom of the pump, which is the pickup. So I'm waiting for that. Welding bung and fuel filter and a bunch of fittings, and we also got to put a blowout plate in the manifold here. It doesn't have one, so everything's got to come off again. The manifold's got to come off, and then we got to get that drilled and tapped and hogged out for that plate. What else have I got to do? I got to run hoses. These I don't think we're going to use these valve covers. We're going to use the other ones because they had no hole on the top here, and they had the fittings here. So we're just going to run, you know, fitting from or a hose from here straight to the catch can here. So that will let that thing breathe. This other tank here is, I think it's an oil heater. It had a heater on it that I took off. We're not going to use it. I don't see why we would need it. The motor is going to run dry, no cooling system at all. I've also started mounting this remote fuel filter thing here, but I think I'm just going to take that off and just put a regular spin-on filter down there so that we can fit an actual diaper on here to make it legal. I got a diaper coming for it. I really can't see the need for that big thing with all the hoses and everything. You know, it's just another thing to fail. I really don't like it, so that's going to be gone. What else am I doing? I'm rewiring the car. We've got a MSD grid, which is programmable. We can program the timing to retard on the launch and ramp back in at a certain rate and things like that. And then we also got a data logger coming for it so that we can monitor what things are doing, drive shaft speed, things like that. So all this wiring system that I put in here is coming out. I'm just in the process of taking it all out, and it's going to go on the Grotto on Firebird because the wiring in that car really needs some attention. So I got the delay box here and the ignition box, which is probably going to be a spare because that car already has a 7803 in it, but it doesn't have a very nice delay box. This one I would like to reuse for this car, and we'll probably either reuse the one that's in that car or just get a better one. Then I got to run some CO2 lines, well, one more CO2 line up to the throttle controller there, wire that in. Yeah, the switch panel is going to be gone. It won't need much. I mean, just an on-off switch basically. There's no fans, no fuel pump to turn on, nothing like that. So basically, it's just on-off. And the fuel pump shutoff, I've got mounted back on the brake handle here. This lever here will shut the fuel off. So once he's done his pass, he'll pull the brake on, and then he'll just pull that to shut the fuel off. So yeah, once I got my parts that I'm looking for, oh, and the torque converter is on the way too. So yeah, once I get everything all mocked up here, pull the motor back out, put the torque converter back in, and then everything should just go together nice and smooth. Should have it all back in within a couple of days and have it fired up. So that's where I'm at with this thing. Oh, another thing, I would like to put EGTs in here, exhaust gas temperature sensors, which that data logger can monitor. That'll tell us which cylinders are running too rich or too lean. We can monitor the temperature of each individual cylinder. The problem with that is these headers are nicely ceramic coated, and they're a little bit too small for this motor too. They're 2 1/4, and I'd like to put 2 1/2 on here. So I'm going to try and talk the customer into building some 2 1/2 inch headers and put AGT bungs in there, but really, you know, the car doesn't get raced a whole lot. It would be really nice to be able to monitor that, you know, keep the motor safe and to make as much power as possible. But as much as this car gets raced, I don't know. Well, we'll see what he says, I guess. So yeah, still got lots left to do. Yeah, that's all I got for now. So I hope you guys had a good Christmas, and it's almost New Year's. Today's the 29th, so I really got nothing to do, so I'll probably be here tinkering on something. I think we're going out for Chinese food New Year's Eve, so New Year's Day I'll probably be here tinkering. But in the meantime, you guys have a good one. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you later.